Welcome to Health Affairs from A to Z. I'm your host, Dr. Nancy Valentine, PhD and registered nurse. And I am speaking with you today from the U.I.C. College of Nursing and CAN TV. We are talking today with our colleague, Julie Zenwic, who I will introduce in just a moment. And our topic today really has to do with building the nursing workforce. And we will tell you about what we mean by building the nursing workforce. The title of our show is the University of Illinois at Chicago College of Nursing Holistic Admissions Process, meaning how we bring people into the College of Nursing to become students. So that's the admissions process. But we're really working in a very different way, and Julie will be telling you about that. We're working to change the face of the nursing workforce by making it more holistic. But before I get into that, I want to introduce our guest, Dr. Julie Zenwic, and thank her for being with us today. Julie is a friend and colleague working at the College of Nursing, and her job is she's an executive associate dean and professor in the Department of Biobehavioral Health Science at U.I.C. College of Nursing. And among her many duties and responsibilities, she leads the college's diversity strategic planning process, and that is to bring a lot of different people with many different backgrounds into our college community. She focuses on recruiting and retaining students, and she will tell you the details about that. And we also look for staff and faculty from diverse backgrounds as well, in order to ensure the success of the college overall. So I want to thank you, Julie, for being with us today and for educating us about this work that the University of Illinois Chicago College of Nursing is doing. And she will tell you that this is very cutting edge. And let's start with what is holistic admissions. Just help us figure out what that is, and then we'll get into the details.
Okay, holistic admission is a process that's used to admit students into the College of Nursing, admit them to the nursing program, but it's using a variety of strategies to bring in students that have many different talents. So it isn't focusing just on academic metrics, it's using their experiences, their other attributes, and you are using those strategies to actually broaden the diversity of the student body.
And why is that an issue? I think most people, really don't understand what the nursing workforce even really looks like. So if you could describe what the general nursing workforce is like today and where you see it headed in the future, that would be very interesting.
So the majority of nurses in the workforce are non-Hispanic white women. That is clearly the far and away majority group. And who are not represented are African Americans, Hispanic individuals, in some areas of the country, Native Americans, from a variety of different ethnic and racial backgrounds. And it isn't just about race and ethnicity. It's also to look at, all aspects of diversity and being inclusive in nursing. And we know that we are not currently representing the way that society looks today. So we have a much more diverse population than we do healthcare providers. This isn't an issue only for nursing. It's represented in physicians, for example, dentists, pharmacists, a variety of different professions have the same concern about whether or not they have the healthcare professionals that really match the populations that they're serving.
Well, that's a very good point. Tell us about this shift, though. What do you think is really fueling this shift for mainly nurses? A lot of, like the profile of a lot of nurses, if you really look across the nation, white Catholic girls for the most part, a lot of that was the tradition. But now it's changing. And what do you think is fueling that change?
Well, certainly as the society diversifies, we are slowly seeing some increase in the types of individuals that are attracted to nursing. It is a profession that has many different opportunities available for those who go into nursing. So you can work in a hospital setting. You can work in a clinic setting. You can teach. You can be a school nurse, for example. Nurses are employed in pharmaceuticals, so they have business backgrounds. So I think it's a desirable profession in terms of the career opportunities that are available, and therefore we should be attractive to a very wide group of individuals who want to pursue that profession.
Right, right. But it's getting harder and harder to become admitted into colleges of nursing across the country. There are more applicants than there are seats, so it's highly competitive. And at U.I.C. College of Nursing, there are many people that are applying. And how many do we take of the applicants? Approximately how many people apply, and what percentage are we taking?
So it varies each year, and we have a number of different programs that we admit to. But if we're talking about our traditional baccalaureate in science in nursing, which is the BSN program, we're admitting students in their junior year. So they are coming to us having spent 2 years
Right.
at either a community college or at the university taking their prerequisite courses. So they're taking human growth and development, statistics, anatomy and physiology, chemistry, all of those courses in order to prepare them to come into the nursing program. So during their sophomore year, they will apply to the College of Nursing, and we will admit here in Chicago 96 students. In Urbana, we admit 64, and then we're admitting 32 in our newest program in Springfield. So roughly around 170 students will be admitted. We have around 3 times as many applicants for those seats, and it depends on probably if we considered all applications, we probably have 4 times as many. Some individuals apply but don't meet the qualifications for the program, and so they're eliminated. But usually it's 3 to 1, and in some places across the country, there are many more applicants than that. So you might have five applicants for every spot that you have in nursing. So it's a highly desirable and very competitive process to be admitted.
So what I'm hearing is if you have a desire to be a nurse, and if you haven't been encouraged or have thought about it, this is your opportunity, especially if you come from what we are considering a non-traditional background. You have ethnic diversity or diversity of any type. This is your opportunity to really think about the outreach that's happening in order to get you to become interested in this field. So I just want to remind our viewers that if you have questions about this topic, or if you would like to know more about what we are talking about, the number is on your screen and you're invited to call in. This is your opportunity to learn more from an expert. So tell us about how this holistic review process, which you said earlier, Julie, is not just your grades. I mean, it is very, very competitive to get into these nursing programs, so you have to have as good a grades as you possibly can achieve. But what else are you looking for other than just smart people?
So it used to be, and still for many programs across the country, their focus is on academic metrics. So they look at those individuals who have the highest GPA, and they'll accept. You know, you might say that, for example, the minimum requirements for admission maybe is a 2.75, which is a C plus average, or a 3.0, which is a B average. But the individuals that were getting admitted tend to have the 3.5, the high B, B plus, or 4.0 average.
Right.
Well, it isn't to say, though, that individuals who have the highest GPAs are actually going to make the best nurses, right?
That's true.
There are other characteristics that we want to have in nursing, and it may not necessarily align with those academic GPA or academic metrics. So what we are doing with the holistic admission process is that we are considering beyond the academic metrics. We're looking at attributes that an individual brings and other abilities. So things like, do you speak another language? You know, we have a very diverse society, and so if you come in and you can speak Polish or Spanish or you know, German, depending on what community you're coming from, that's a highly desirable characteristic.
Right.
Or it may be that you have, you're bringing geographic diversity in. We know, for example, that rural populations need healthcare professionals. So perhaps you're coming from a rural background and that's your intent, to go back to that community, to serve that community. Those characteristics may be highly desirable in terms of the diversity that you bring.
Right. Let me just capitalize on that one thing. For any of you that are watching this show, if you are a young person and your parents have an ethnic background where they speak another language, but they're not necessarily speaking it at home, or if they're speaking it at home, you're not paying a lot of attention to learning it, I would just like to encourage you that what Dr. Zenwic just said, knowing a second language is so critical. So here's an example. I recently reached out to some Hispanic nurses because we are very interested in hiring Hispanic nurses. You know, these are nurses that are fully prepared, ready to practice. And I've come to find out that many Spanish nurses by background do not speak Spanish. So this was like very, very confounding to me, because it was like, gosh, I thought if your parents came, especially your first generation parents, then you come as the children, that you would just automatically know how to speak Spanish because it would be spoken at home. And I come to find out that there are many people that don't speak their own parents' native language. So if you're one of those folks, I think this is a good example, whether you go into nursing or some other field. It's just such an attribute to have that second language for really any professional or work-related job that you're ever going to have. So that's just a little sidebar, but that was something that I had to learn, you know, by just talking and learning about, you know, what the trends are in our various cultures. So if people have another language or they come from a rural background, that's very interesting. So you're saying that they have a different life story, that they've not just been good students. They have other attributes.
That's right. So it may be that someone has chosen to do activities along with their academic studies. So perhaps you have a student who is volunteering in a community organization, and maybe they're working to support themselves while they're in school, and you know they have a full load of courses. Well, their ability to have a perfect 4.0 GPA may not be possible because of the other things that they're doing in their life. However, those skills that they're gaining in their jobs, in their volunteer activities, are things that may make them exceedingly valuable to the nursing profession and their ability to give back to the community once they return as a healthcare provider or as a nurse.
Right.
So if you exclusively focus on academic metrics or their grade point average or their score on certain tests, you are going to miss a large group of individuals who may make excellent nurses and may actually be better nurses than someone who's totally focused and has not participated beyond their school or their grades or their tests.
So I think this holistic view is really, in essence, looking at the whole person.
Exactly.
And what they bring. Now, what it says to me is if you are one of those really top students with really great grades, one of the things you may want to think about is how to round out your life in terms of your full attributes that you are bringing to any kind of competitive situation. So in terms of how this actually works, this holistic process, I'm trying to picture this, and I'm sure our viewers are thinking the same thing. If there are like 400 people that are applying for these 100 seats, what is the process of sort of reviewing all of this and coming to a determination of those 100 who may or may not have the top grades, but you think really are going to be, you know, best tracked for the profession? How do you make those kind of decisions?
Well, there's a number of different things that that we've done. So let me just preface this with this is a process that we implemented starting in 2014. So we've had 3 classes that have been admitted using a holistic admission process. One of the things that we do is that all individuals who are qualified for admission are interviewed. So they have an opportunity to come to the college, meet with a faculty person and respond to a series of questions about different aspects of their life so they can share with us in person who they are. We also have a written application that's reviewed, but what we do is that we have multiple reviewers that are blinded to different aspects of this process.
You'll have to explain that when you say blinded to the process.
So if I'm going to be someone who is interviewing an applicant, I will not be reviewing their application.
Okay.
And someone who's reviewing their application will not be the one who's interviewing them. Because what happens is you begin to form impressions of an individual by the materials that you start to look at. And you could carry that over into another part of the process if you aren't blinded to what you're seeing. And what we found too is that not all individuals who are reviewing applicants, whether through an interview or an application, have the same set of viewpoints about what's valuable. That's why we have multiple different people looking at aspects of the application, because what I may highly value in an individual's response may be different than, for example, what you see as highly valuable. But by bringing in different viewpoints from a number of different individuals, you're more likely to see the complete picture or package that the individual's bringing.
Interesting. So as far as the people that are doing the interview, are these primarily faculty members that have volunteered to do this?
So all individuals who participate in the admission process go through a training around holistic admission. So it isn't something that you can just kind of walk in and do. So we have a number of faculty who are very experienced in the holistic admission, and they will train all of the faculty as well as the staff. Right now, we have faculty that have been involved in the admission process, whether it's interview or application review, but that doesn't mean that that's the only individuals who can participate. We've talked about bringing in alumni, for example, so people who've already gone through our program and are practicing as nurses or maybe retired, and they come back and maybe partner with one of the faculty for an interview. It could be, as long as the individuals went through training,
right.
I think you could utilize a variety of different people
Right.
through the process.
Right. Because I think the training is very important, because I think we've all been schooled with the idea that the smartest at top of the class are the ones that really should get first nod at this very competitive number of slots. But by the training, it really, again, brings people together to really think about what are those other attributes in addition to having those good grades. Now, obviously, the ideal is the person who has a good grades, who, like you said, speaks another language, who has a very interesting life story, and really can project the commitment to going into a field such as nursing in that interview. So the interview is a very important part of the process, I would imagine.
What we've done with the interview, and again, it differs depending on which nursing program you're applying for, but for our undergraduate students, we've done group interviews. So students come in as a group, and they all have an opportunity to answer the same set of questions. But we've also asked students who were admitted under this new holistic admission process what their view was of that experience and what did they find the most valuable in terms of the applications, the interview. They do some writing exercises, and they found the interview to be highly valuable. That's where they felt that they could really show who they were and what they would bring to the college.
Right.
So the students themselves find the interview very valuable. And I wouldn't say that we are still not invested in individuals who bring very high academic metrics, because I want to make sure to be clear about that. What we're trying to do is bring in a class that's diverse.
Right.
So we want people who are academically, really strong. We want people who come from a variety of different backgrounds. We want individuals with racial and ethnic diversity, because by bringing a class in that's diverse, they will learn from each other in a way that's incredibly important, that they will then be able to carry out into their positions.
Right.
I've seen that happen in the classroom where students who came from very different backgrounds were able to really share their experiences, and their classmates learned from them. So it isn't about bringing in all of one kind or looking for one particular attribute or
Right.
one academic metric. It's really to allow individuals to share with us where are their strengths, what is it that they're doing, and why it's important that we value that and consider that at the time of admission.
That's really good. And it sounds like you've done a very good job of asking for feedback from the students that have gone through this.
Yes.
Those that have been admitted and those that haven't. I mean, what they've learned and what they've gained from it. I think that one of the messages that we want to get out to you is that we are welcoming people who may think that they couldn't possibly get in because their grades aren't as high or they just don't fit other qualifications as they perceive it. But this is sort of a welcoming opportunity to welcome you to at least throw your hat in the ring and see if this is really going to work for you. So U.I.C. College of Nursing, Julie, has been a leader, and you have been one of the leaders in the country to really put this together. How do you see this impacting other colleges of nursing on a nationwide basis?
So this is we're on the forefront of this movement within nursing. There are colleges of medicine that have been implementing the same process for a number of years, colleges of dentistry and so forth. In nursing, we're as a profession, we're embracing this now, so that we see many professional organizations that are now trying to provide training for colleges across the country on holistic admission. I've consulted to a number of different organizations on what does holistic admission mean, how do you implement it. Many people are concerned because it is fairly time intensive for faculty and staff, and you have to kind of shift your thinking about what's the best way
Right.
and how do you approach this. We are seeing funding agencies are looking at requiring institutions to be using a holistic admission strategy if they are going to be successful in funding initiatives. So I do think we're right at the cusp of this kind of taking off in nursing and really being useful. We've done some evaluations for the classes that have been admitted. And for those metrics that we are following, we are seeing significant increases in diversity. So for example, one group that seems to have particularly benefited from this is Hispanic students, that we've seen this really substantial increase in the last few years since we've implemented holistic admission. So I think it will be something that many schools will be implementing.
Right, right. Well, it's great to be a trendsetter here at U.I.C. College of Nursing in Chicago. I think that, again, this is really the welcome wagon approach for you if you really are interested. And Dr. Zenwic can help you. You can find her through the U.I.C. College of Nursing website if you have any other interests or questions about this. But I think that the purpose of this program is to really tell you that this is a new trend in our field. We are starting this trend here locally. We invite you of all backgrounds to really think about nursing as a career. As Dr. Zenwic said, it is a terrific career. There's so many opportunities and we need diversity for all the reasons that she mentioned. We are very interested in diversity as we can learn from one another. That is really very key. And also for the patients that we are taking care of, they come from all backgrounds in our culture. As our whole country is becoming more diverse, we as a nursing profession want to really be able to meet that call to action. So I want to thank you, Julie, for being with us today. She also has written an article with other colleagues, Holistic Review and Admissions, a strategy to diversify the nursing workforce. And that is our goal, is to really get out there in the front of all this change. And I know that our clients, our patients, those that we are taking care of will welcome this, because on a different note, there are those that are looking into, like, doing research on how other cultures view people taking care of them that are either from the same or from different cultures. I mean, it does make a difference. People can often feel more comfortable if they have people of their own backgrounds in order to relate to. So thank you again, and I want to thank our viewers for being with us today. Thank you, and we wish you the best. Have a wonderful day.